Let's talk about that Players Tribune article that Blake Snell wrote.
Blake Snell. Okay, yeah. What would you like to say about
Well,
that?
I wanted to bring it up because you had a really interesting take on it, and I really enjoyed it. It's funny because it didn't even come into my mind when I read it. For all of you out there who would like to read it, it is a really interesting read. Blake Snell was published in the Players Tribune, so you can take a quick Google, and that'll be the first thing that comes up. And he really kind of delves into being traded, into the emotions he was going through, into talking to his dad after being pulled and losing the World
So,
Series in Game
yeah,
6.
let's just remind people that of who Blake Snell is for anybody that doesn't necessarily
Yes.
know. Blake Snell was starting pitcher for the Tampa Bay Rays. I guess they're
In
ace,
Game
right?
6 of the World
So yeah,
Series. Their ace, 2018 AL Cy Young Award winner,
so
now with the Padres. Yeah.
game six
Go
of the
ahead.
World Series. That's the game that the Dodgers ended up clinching the World Series, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Blake Snell was wheeling and dealing through 5 innings,
And
essentially
he was.
lights
He was
out.
pitching the game of his life. He really
Yes.
was.
And then he got pulled in the 6th inning after giving up, I think, 2 hits. And facing the top of the order coming up, he got pulled. And, controversy, I guess, followed because the Rays went on to lose the game and the World Series. So,
So a few things stood out in this to me.
okay.
Number one, it stood out to me that he didn't actually request a trade. This was something that the Rays did on their own.
Right.
The other thing, and this is where I'll let you take over in a second, but Snell came out and said that he was throwing completely off his game when he saw that Rays manager Kevin Cash had called the bullpen and got a pitcher up and warming up in the 6th inning. He said that it threw him right off his game. He went from being dialed in and being like, what am I going to do to get out Mookie Betts to move this game forward? And all I could think is, oh my God, don't allow a hit. Don't allow a hit. I've got to be perfect or they're going to pull me instantly.
Mm-hmm.
And I just kind of rolled off my back. I didn't put too much thought into it. And then you
So
brought up.
can I read the
Go ahead.
can I read the quote here from
Read the quote,
the article?
please. Yes, please.
So it starts off. These are all Blake Snell's words here. Basically describes the scenario of Game 6 that we kind of just covered. But he says, first off, I don't think I'm bragging or exaggerating or whatever in saying that I was dealing in that game. I mean, I was on. I just was. Anyone who watches baseball will tell you that. I was pitching the game of my life that night. And when you're doing that, and you're in the moment, and you've got it rolling, and you're thinking about who's up, and what's my game plan, you're just 100% dialed in and focused on how to get guys out. So throughout that whole game, I'm super focused. I know what the Dodgers hitters are looking for. I know what pitches to throw each dude who comes up. And I know exactly where I'm going to locate those pitches. Everything's clicking. I just basically have to keep doing what I'm doing. Then, ... I'm jogging to the hill to start the 6th. And in the distance, I see Anderson out there in the bullpen warming up. About 15 question marks there. It's like, what the heck? In my head, I'm like, man, I'm making history out here. I've never been this good against such a great team. Why is this man warming up right now? And of course, I've been around for a few years now, so I've seen this scenario play out for our team, including in the postseason. I know what's up. Damn, I'm really about to be taken out of this game. This is really happening. In a split second, that's all I'm thinking about. I can't help it. I'm no longer thinking about how am I going to start off AJ Pollock that inning, or what I know Mookie will be looking for when he comes up. None of that. Now I'm thinking about how I'm going to get pulled from the biggest game of my life. And look, man, believe me, I'd love to tell you this wasn't the case. That it's possible to see something like that and just totally ignore it. And I don't know, maybe some guys can, but for me, it just triggered my mind and put all sorts of uncertainty in my head. It absolutely messed up my thought process. If I don't see that, if I go out there that inning and I'm totally locked in and focused on guys coming up and the game plan, There's zero chance of my mind wavering. Literally zero chance. And then the article continues to go on for about 14 paragraphs. But
so I read that and I didn't put too much thought into it. And then you brought up the following point.
Okay, so our friend of the show, Trevor Freeman, sent this to us, this article in a group chat.
Yeah.
And I believe his comment on it was, here's an example of an absolute professional. Right? He's talking about, I guess going from one of the highs of his career to one of the lows. And he's doing it with class. I think was the point that Trevor was trying to make, right?
Yeah. Because he did come out in the article and say he has no hard feelings with Kevin Cash. He always thought he was a great manager, blah, 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 right?
Absolutely. So, I guess my thoughts on it was, what a snowflake. Sorry if that's harsh, but it just reminds me of like all this criticism that our generation gets for being soft and how we've got to be handled delicately, and everybody gets a participation ribbon, and you got to tell everybody that they're beautiful and everybody's smart and all this stuff. And it's just like, it made me cringe so hard reading that, because just the thought of like a professional at the peak of his game,
pinnacle of his career
could, like, I grew up watching Disney movies. When these guys are pitching, they can't even hear the crowd.
Yeah.
That's what Disney taught me. But he sees a guy warming up and he collapses internally. I've lost all.
Seeing a guy in the bullpen. One of the most frequent things to happen in baseball today is watching a pitcher get up in the bullpen and start warming up. And this threw off what is supposedly the most focused time in your entire career. You're right, man. It does. It's so funny because that didn't jump off the page to me like that. But as soon as you brought it up, I was like, yeah, what the hell? He's being thrown off by a guy going up in the bullpen in the sixth.
Last half of the game, like, of course. Like, what else is supposed to happen? I was, let's just say, yes, classy thing, the way he handled talking about Kevin Cash and the trade and everything like that. Yes, 100%. But man, it made me cringe, and that's not what I want to hear from my players.
No, for sure, 100%. And that is a great point. You want to hear, even if it's lip service.
Yeah, I want to hear
even if it's not true.
They've got ice in their veins, that they are dialed in. Nothing can shake them.
Yeah.
Not,
I saw someone in the pen.
It's absurd. I don't know. It's absurd.
It is a little absurd. I really like that take, and I like that you kind of spotted that, because I didn't. But that's great, man.